Greetings and a warm welcome to Galaxy Universal Network. Today we're at the Embassy of Palestine to South Africa, bringing you our very first episode of 15 Minutes in Palestine.
What a coincidence that we're actually in the Palestinian Embassy and we're joined by a South African who has lived in Palestine. I'm here with Mohammed. Hello, Mohammed.
Hi, Z. Thanks for having me today.
Fantastic. So take us through what is happening here today. How would you, maybe in summary, just take us through this whole beautiful experience?
So my own experience started when I spent 3 or 4 months working for a Palestinian Christian organization in Jerusalem, in the holy city of Jerusalem. And one of the problems is that many African people, many South African people confuse the biblical land of Israel with the modern state of Israel. People confuse the biblical land of Israel and the Israelites that we read about in our Bible with the Israelis that live in the modern state that was created in 1948. And one of the tragedies of this confusion is that we forget that the Palestinians were some of the first followers of Jesus Christ, that the birthplace of Jesus Christ is in Bethlehem. In Bethlehem is a Palestinian city. The Palestinian town of Bethlehem is one of the saddest places in the world today. It's completely surrounded by an 8-meter high wall, 800 kilometers long.
Wow, Mohammed, you've narrated it so beautifully and you've touched on the history, the historical context in terms of the Christians there. But people wonder, how has Palestine managed to, I suppose, achieve harmony, given that there's a Muslim community and a Christian community? How have you guys managed to coexist all this time?
That's a fantastic question. And the reason why I say it's a fantastic question is because the Palestinian people before 1948, we must remember the population was about 70% Muslim, 20% Christian, 10% Jewish. These are rough figures. And they all lived in harmony because they all identified as Palestinian. It was only when the modern state of Israel was created in 1948, and this state was created because the European countries felt very guilty for the anti-Semitism and the Holocaust. And so the Europeans then divided the land of Palestine into two. They gave the majority to the incoming population to create the modern state of Israel, and the minority of the land was given to the indigenous population. But before 1948, Palestinians from the various religions had no issue with each other. Likewise today, Palestinian Christians, Muslims, and the Jewish population within Palestine all live in harmony. It's only the Israeli occupation that is a problem. It's a bit like in South Africa. You have Zulu-speaking people, you have Xhosa-speaking people, you have Tswana-speaking people. People have differences in culture, differences in practice, but during the apartheid regime, it was never about the differences between different African cultural groups. Different African cultural groups all identified as the indigenous people of South Africa, and they were opposed to the apartheid regime. Likewise, in Israel and Palestine today, the Palestinians across the religious spectrum all identify as Palestinians. Their religion is irrelevant in many ways. Their first identity is being Palestinian, and the only problem is the Israeli occupation which has been imposed on them.
You've put it so beautifully, and I like the analogy you drew comparing to South Africa. But with the Israeli occupation, the issue of land displacement is still an issue to this day. Are there any legislative measures to address that at the moment?
So much like, again, apartheid South Africa had kept the best pieces of land for the white population, for the settler population. Likewise, unfortunately, the best pieces of land in Israel and Palestine has been reserved for Jewish-only use. However, there has been a continued, and this is one of the lessons that we as people of the world, as people of the African continent, as South Africans can take a lesson from, and that is the spirit of resistance that the Palestinian people have. That even though they've been under occupation for the last almost 100 years now, almost a century now, the Palestinians have continued to insist on their own identity and on their own existence. We do hope that the Israelis will actually come to the negotiating table so that a just solution can be found for the future of all the peoples who live in Israel and Palestine. Until then, we join various campaigns across the world in terms of putting pressure on the Israeli regime, just as how during the 1980s pressure was put on the apartheid regime. Likewise, today you have the Presbyterian Church, the Methodist Church, the United Church of Christ, you have the Norwegian Pension Fund, you have various other pension funds and entities across the globe that have adopted various boycotts of Israel in order to put pressure on it. Likewise, today there is a certain pressure movement on the Israeli regime so that we can force the regime to come to the negotiating table so that a just solution can be found and so that the land can be shared with all who live on it.
Mohammed, that was such a beautiful historical perspective. We appreciate it so much, and thank you so much.
We are joined by Mohammed Hamad, who will be taking us through the religious symbols that we see in front of us and the religious sites that have so much significance in Palestine.
We look to this beautiful box carrying on his surface a beautiful picture of the Last Supper of Jesus and his companion, which was in Jerusalem. If we open this book, we will find, if we open this books, we will find the Holy Bible carrying the same regulations that Jesus passed to us, written in Arabic for our people in Palestine, and telling us the same rules, peaceful rules that Jesus passed to us. And this beautiful frame carrying two places, very important and holiest places in Palestine related to Muslim Palestinian people. The first one is the Al-Aqsa Mosque, and the second one is the Holy Dome Mosque, where Prophet Muhammad met all the prophets before he went to the heaven in his famous popular night journey. And it's written a nice holy verse of Quran describing that night journey of Prophet Muhammad.
And now coming to the most interesting part of the show, food. We are joined by Miss Wafa and Roba.
Today, I actually very happy to join this part of. It's my pleasure to join to be part of this celebrating of the cultural day of for the Palestinian people, and I would like to explain about our national food for the Palestinian people. And now let's continue for also our. The main dish as a national dish for the Palestinian people, which is called مسخن. مسخن is a very Palestinian cuisine dish, and it's actually made of roasted chicken and baked with onion, sumac, and all spices. Can we also fried pan nuts served over taboon bread, which is made of actually this fresh bread, taboon bread, and you add some nuts and some, of course, you cook the onion with the olive oil until it's well cooked, and then you add it on the top of the bread, and then you bake the chicken and you put it in the top. This is actually, it's the most common dish for the Palestinian as a lunch, and even when you invite people. And now we come to the makluba, which is also a traditional Palestinian dish served throughout the Levant. It consists of meat, rice, and fried vegetables placed in a pot, which is flipped upside down. How we serve it like this way. Hence the name makluba, which translates literally life relays upside down. Meat, rice, and vegetables consist of brinjal, or you can put cauliflower, and this is actually also, you can consider it as also a national traditional Palestinian dish, the makluba.
Now I cannot wait to taste the dinner and the main lunch. With me right now we have Miss Ruba, who's just going to be letting us know and telling us the ingredients that are in the main dishes. Miss Ruba, take it away.
Good day, everybody. I'm going to continue with the main traditional dishes in Palestine. I'm going to talk first about kidra. Kidra is an authentic Palestinian dish that is hailing from Hebron city. It is dated back to the last century when a Palestinian baker tried to prepare a special dish for unexpected guests that visited him at lunchtime. He tried to use the natural and indigenous resources that he has. Kidra is get its name from this clay little pot that we are mainly used to prepare this dish. It's simply prepared by mixing the ingredient of meat, rice, clove of garlic, mix and the chickpea, and a mix of spices in that clay pot. Here I'm going to talk about mujaddara. Mujaddara is a vegan dish that we mainly that is popular in the Palestinian community, but instead of the meat we use the cooked brown lentil that is here, cooked brown lentil that is mixed with the rice and a mix of spices, and it is topped with a large amount of fried caramelized onion. The next dish that I'm going to talk about is this lahm bajin, or which is a kind of a meat bite. It is famous, or it is originated from Jaffa city, and it is prepared simply by preparing a simple dough of flour mixed with water, salt, and oil. That's all for the traditional main dishes. Now to move to the other side. In order to satisfy your sweet tooth, the Palestinian dessert is a very good option, and it is the right choice. These Palestinian desserts have a unique identity that is outstands not in our country, but in the whole world. The sugar syrup is the most important component in most of the Palestinian dessert, but not all of them, definitely, such as namura, kunafa, and warbat.
I am joined by Ebtihash, who will be explaining to us and telling us more about the embroidery, the beautiful pieces that we see in front of us.
Embroidery is a very important part of our heritage. My grandmother used to teach my mother how to embroider, and my mother also taught me. This is an example of Palestinian embroidery. This you can hang it on the wall. It's for decoration for the house. This pillowcase also beautiful with different colors. And this is a tablecloth. And this something to wear in special occasions or everyday life. And this is a full dress of Palestinian clothes.
Oh, okay. I see the dress. It's so beautiful. So do only females wear this, or maybe males do wear it as well?
They have different type of clothes, like sirwal and hatta. It's I don't know who is wearing here. It's white and black clothes. You put it on your shoulder. Palestinian women wear embroidered dresses in order to emphasize their history and to preserve their right in their lands.
Oh, all right. So I see this one is written, "God bless our home." Would you like to explain more on the message for us here?
As you know, there are Christian and Muslim people living together on our land, Palestine, and this is an evidence of us living peacefully together. This is, as you can see, God bless our home. It's, I think, a Christian saying, but still we can hang this in a Muslim house because we are one big family.
Well, that's all we have time for today. We enjoyed the festivities and everything with my co-host, the beautiful NOZIBELE TJALANA. Do you want to say goodbye?
Yeah, I just want to let everyone know to follow us on Instagram and on Twitter. It's at gun_TV_.
And BONGEKA BOYANA.
It has been a great one. Until next time, thank you so much.
Shukran wa ma salam.